Dhanava Pranam, Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Bihari Bhavan. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Guru Gauri Guru Varga ki jai. Pati Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shakti ki jai. Shri Radha Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Hari Naam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Ho. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 in this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Gucha. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam.
Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namahom Vishnupadaya Gauraveshaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Yukti Namine Adimatya Charitraya Swashritanam Chapaline Jivan Mukhe Sadarpad Shri Nama Premalayine Namahom Vishnupadaya श्रीवर्षभारती देवी दयिताय कृपभये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान वैने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाद्या श्रीरूपानुग भक्तिदा श्रीगौरा करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमस्ते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दिनकालिने रूपानुगविरुद्धापं सिद्धान्तध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भन सम्बोधे पदाम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिया वैष्णव सर्वभौमश्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतं सुरतोपङ्गो मम मन्दमते गति मत्सर्वस्वत्पदम्बोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यबृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमद श्रीमद्रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थो श्री श्री राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठादिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्त्रसरसारम्भे वंशिवततस्थितः कर्षन्नेनुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तुनः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्णा भक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Harer Nama Harer Nama Harer Nameva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Bratiranyata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
So we'll begin with Gurudev, Kripa Bindudiya, and Susan Moon. I forgot your devotional name, but please have a safe journey. I'm glad you get to stay with us for some time. Have a very good, safe, auspicious flight. Dandavat pranam to all Vaishnavas.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So if you're new to this Sangha that we have here, just keep an eye on one Vaishnava named Jiva Pavana Prabhu.
Hare
If you keep scrolling down, you'll find that he adds the lyrics to each bhajan, and also he adds so much to the thread. So continuously scroll down and you can join us in the kirtans. Thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu, for your seva.
Which one are we doing?
Kripa Bindudiya, page 23, or 32. Close enough.
32 in this book, or what Jiva Pavana Prabhu has posted. You're leading today.
Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya, Gurudev Nase, Trinape Kayati Dina.
Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya, Vaishnava Dayara Saga, page 39. Ohe Vaishnava Thakur 39. Ohe Vaishnava Thakur O-H-E 39.
1 minute. Devotees, please don't be concerned. I can see that you're worried for us. We're okay. We I needed to get a little bit of work done for my teeth. And so we've had to shift for about 3 days, and then we'll be back to our proper place. So don't worry, we're fine. We're just continuing our seva wherever we can. but I had an emergency situation with my body.
Teeth.
And so, don't worry. Thank you so much. We're okay. Dandavat pranam.
O he Vaishnava Thakura Doyar Sagar Te Dase Karuna Kori O he Vaishnava Krishna Krodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai.
Page 60, and it starts with A-K-R-O-D-H-A, Akrodha.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Oh Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura We're not trained in how to sing with the tampura without a harmonium.
We are.
Somehow, with the tampura, I go off tune. Hare Krishna.
Stay on it. It's nice with the tampura.
My tampura only has the one string pa, but if I have a pa and a ma, then it helps.
Gorangera tumi more with tampura.
Just put it closer. Slide it. What page is it? Gorangera tumi more.
78. And it starts with Goranga, G-A-U-R-A-N-G-A, Tumi, T-U-M-I, Tumi.
Gorango tumi more, doyana chari ho. Goranga tumi more,
Doyana chari ho.
apna koriya ranga charane rakhi ho. Apna koriya ranga Gorango tumi more, doyana chari ho. Gorango tumi Tomaro charono lagi, samate yami Yes.
phone already has a hard time focusing.
Sorry.
It's a little difficult.
Yeah. I'm
Maybe,
not sure I like this camera.
maybe you can just shut this bit in here. Maybe it will make it play. Just this one. No, shut.
That's what it's not open, sorry.
Is that better? I think that's better.
Okay, good.
Just that is good.
Something. It's so dark in here. Can you see okay?
Actually, I think it might be better.
Okay. You good?
Okay.
Maybe you can open that one.
Ancharai. It's better now.
Radha Krishna Bolo Re Sobai, page 170.
Radha Krishna Bol Bol.
Want to lead us again?
My voice is finished.
Okay. 117. Radha Krishna Bolo Re Sobai. Radha Krishna Bolo. I think it's okay. Bolo Re Sobai. Radha Krishna Do you want to lead Krishnadeva Bhavantam?
I really don't know if I can.
Okay, I'll lead.
Sorry. So Krishnadeva Bhavantam Vande, page Subi 343.
Krishnadeva Bhavantam Vande, Krishnadeva Bhavantam Vande, oh Krishnadeva Bhavantam Vande, oh Manamana Madhukaram Marpayani Jabata Pankajam Karande. Krishna Radhe.
Madhuri Jodi.
Really? Without a harmony?
How about AC Kripa? Oh no, AC Kripa Karo they don't have.
They might be able to pull it up. It's in the kksongs.org. Madhuri. Anupama Madhuri Jodi?
I think it needs to be done again.
Anupama.
So then it's on page
Oh,
364.
364.
Bhairavi Rag, but I'm sure I do it lower usually. B. Anupama Madhuri Jodi Hamare Shyam Shyama Ki Anupama Madhuri Jodi Hamare Rasi रस भरी आँखियाँ हमारे श्याम श्यामा की रसी रस भरी आँखियाँ हमारे श्याम श्यामा की
Chalo.
It's too high.
We'll do our best. Chalo.
I need to put it down a little. Sorry, I have to put it down a little bit. Maybe to A. Anupama Madhuri Jodi Hamare Shyama Shyama Ki Anupama Madhuri Jodi Rasi Rasa Bhari Akhina Hamare Shyama Shyama
Lal
Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
It's something easy.
That's easy, right?
Just throwing it out there.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare गिरिराज महाराज की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Ashwaviyam. Ringer is off. Sorry. Go ahead. Just start it. If you do it now, it's better. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namo Ajnanatimiraandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times into the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. The same Dandavat Pranam thousands of times unto the dust of the lotus feet of Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, into our Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, into all Vaishnavas past, present and future, including those who are present with us today. I offer you my Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
So we are continuing today with going beyond Vaikuntha. Excuse me, I'm a little bit dehydrated. You think you can open the curtains? Thank you. Jai. Haribo. And I can read. Before entering into this book, it's not really a book, it is the manifestation of the heart of our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Really the foundation of all of his preaching and teachings. As Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said, Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which is the origin of this commentary, is the work of Sri Sanatan Goswami. And from that, all of the other works of the Goswamis have manifested. So this book is the commentary on Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatan Goswami. So, first we'll pray to Sri Sanatan Goswami in the words of Raghunath Das Goswami. Vairaga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatna Apayana Mam Anubhipshamandam Kripambudirya Paradukuduki Sanatanastwam Prabhum Ashrayami. Praying in the dust of the lotus feet of our Gurudev, the commentator, and Sri Sanatan Goswamipada, the compiler, that may even a particle of their moods, which is present within these pages, manifest within our hearts. So yesterday we were speaking about Guru Nishtha and the different kinds of disciples. Different kinds of disciples means there are so many different depths of disciples who serve. Some serve perfectly with pure motive. Some serve perfectly with ulterior motive. Some serve the best they can with the best motive they have. Some don't try to serve and they don't have any good motive at all. So there's different levels of disciples, millions of different degrees. Uttam, Madhyam, Kanishta, very, very low. Those who don't even place themselves in a position to receive any chastisement or any correction from their Gurudev whatsoever. Srila Gurudeva Maharaj said, what is disciple? Disciple is that person who places themselves willingly, voluntarily in a position where Sri Guru can inflict discipline upon them. But our Gurudev said about many of the devotees, when we came early in 1998, he spoke that I have to be so careful with you, because if I chastise you even slightly, you will say, oh, I don't like Narayan Maharaj. And he said, you will leave me and also go away from bhakti forever. So I have to be so careful with you. But those who have been with me for a long time, they have been able to learn how to take this kind of chastisement. He said, even if I beat them, still I know they will never leave me. And so yesterday we were speaking about this mood, Sarvasva tomar charani sampya, ore chitomar ghare, tum to takur tomar kukur, boliya jana humare. That we should have this loyalty. Gurudev said this is the main quality of a disciple, loyalty. That I am like a dog and you are like my master. And we should always remain like a dog before our Gurudev. We should not try to go above and beyond the command of the master. What the master dictates, what the master says, then we should follow. Not in every circumstance. Sometimes it may be necessary for us to step beyond that in terms of manifesting what Srila Gurudev said, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. What is favorable, what is pleasing for Gurudev, but also what is for his benefit. And I gave that example the other day. Sometimes it is necessary to say, no, don't lie Gurudev flat, keep him at a slight angle for his benefit. As we've seen in the history of Yashoda Damodar. We know that when Chanur and Mushtika, the wrestlers of King Kamsa, were wrestling with Krishna and Balaram, Krishna was receiving so much pleasure from wrestling, enjoying vir ras, the rasa, or the taste, the nectar of fighting. Krishna also likes this. So with those wrestlers, he was experiencing this happiness and pleasure. But is it considered bhakti, what they were doing? Because Krishna was experiencing happiness and pleasure. Was their mood bhakti? Their mood was they wanted to kill Krishna, but still he was enjoying so much. On the other hand, when Mother Yashoda was feeding Krishna her own breast milk, small little baby Krishna, very young. At that time she heard the milk boiling over from the stove in the kitchen. Immediately, although Krishna was holding on with all of his strength by her vatsalya prem, her motherly affection, she was able to put him down and run and save the milk. And Krishna became so upset and so angry. So angry that he broke her pot of yogurt. Then he went to the other room and started feeding butter to the monkeys and butter to the crows and eating it himself. And then that whole pastime of Yashoda Damodar binding Krishna with the ropes of her love and affection ensued. Krishna was not happy. He was upset that she put him down and ran to save the milk. What was her intention? Her intention was to serve him, to please him. Srila Gurudev explains that she was thinking, with my own milk I cannot make so many beautiful things for Krishna. I cannot make kheer, I cannot make shandesh, I cannot make rasamalai, I cannot make paneer and dahi and everything else that he loves. So for a slight bit of discomfort temporarily, I'm going to give him so much benefit later, by which he will be even so much more pleased. So this is the consideration of what is favorable. Not only for the immediate pleasure, but for the continued happiness, pleasure, and favorability for Krishna. So Gurudev explained that first and foremost, we should apply this shlok, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, which is the best shlok defining bhakti, which Rupa Goswami writes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Apply this shlok wholly and totally at the lotus feet of Gurudev. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. In this case, Anukulyena Guru Krishna Anushilanam. What is favorable for him? What is exclusively for his happiness, his pleasure, and his benefit? So what is for the happiness of Gurudev? Gurudev said, please make me happy by becoming happy and chanting your Harinam. That makes him happy. Taking shelter of Krishna, taking shelter of Harinam Prabhu. What is the pleasure of Gurudev? He does not want anything for himself. What is the pleasure of Gurudev? If he sees that we're making progress in bhakti, if we are offering ourselves in service to Gurudev, but in the mood of serving Krishna, he wants us to love and serve Krishna. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did not want that for himself. Anyone would come to him, but he manifested his self as Jagat Guru. And as you see in the history of Raghunath Das Goswami, Mahaprabhu didn't say, meditate on me. He said, Braje Radha Krishna Manasa Seva Koribe. Always remember and serve Radha and Krishna within your heart and mind. So Guru does not want anything for his own personal benefit or pleasure. But still, applying this, we should see what is favorable for Gurudev. So in this case, we have seen how Gurudev is telling us that we should keep our heart open before Guru. Otherwise, we will not be able to open our heart in front of Bhagavan. If we cannot cry for Guru, we cannot cry for Krishna. Many times people do cry in front of Krishna, but actually really crying. Gurudev explained that if you cannot cry for Gurudev, then you cannot actually cry for Krishna. Still, the first crying for Krishna brings Gurudev, and then Gurudev teaches us how to really cry for Krishna. Not with any selfish motive. Really only crying for serving Krishna, not for Krishna to serve us. So that is the function of Guru, to engage all of our senses in serving the transcendental senses of Krishna. Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchate. So as I was telling last time, the very foundation of Shiksha, Gurudev was saying, very foundation of instruction is by honestly serving Gurudev. By that, we will learn how to serve Krishna. Guru Kripa Bina Nahi Koi Sadhana Bal. Guru Kripa Bina, without the mercy of Sri Guru, Nahi Koi Sadhana Bal. We won't be able to have any strength on the path of sadhana. Sadhana means the practices that one undertakes to awaken our goal, our sadhya. If we don't have a goal, then we cannot be considered to be doing sadhana. So it is imperative that we have an understanding of our goal. And what is our goal? Yes, to be serving Krishna. That is the intrinsic nature of everyone. But specifically, what is my goal? Bhava Bhakti is the goal of sadhana bhakti. And the goal of Bhav Bhakti is Prema Bhakti. So from this point, if we understand Kriti Sadhya Bhavit Sadhya Bhavasa Sadhana Vida Nitya Siddhasya Bhavasya Prakatyam Vriddhi Sadhyata. What is the definition of sadhana? Sadhana means the practices one undertakes to attain that particular goal. What will awaken the nature of the soul's intrinsic inherent love for Krishna. That is sadhana. Without the mercy of Gurudev, we will not be able to endeavor in sadhana because we won't be able to ascertain what is the nature of this particular jiva. Not on our own. How can I know? I know this material body. I know this material mind. I know my own material desires. I know lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, and pride. But how can I know the nature of my soul? I don't even know what's going on with my body. And then I like to project the nature of my body onto my soul. But that's not how it works. This same soul has traveled through millions of species of life. Am I a cat? Am I a cockroach? Am I a dog? Am I a horse? Am I a tree? Am I a bacteria? Am I a human? Am I a horse? I already said a horse. Am I a bird? Am I a cow? Am I a donkey? Maybe.
Monkey.
Am I a monkey? I can be so many different species of life. But that's not really what the soul is. What is the nature of my soul? When I'm in the form of a monkey, I think I'm a monkey. I remember that one. When I'm in the form of a human, I think I am a human. But really, I'm not. I, the soul, is not any of these things. I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm not Indian, I'm not Chinese, I'm not African. It's all a temporary external covering over the subtle body, which is a covering over the soul. And really it has nothing to do with the soul whatsoever. Asango yang purushaha. Asango. The soul has nothing to do with all of that other stuff. That is why we look at our Guru Varga. Srila Rupa Goswami was in a male form, but what is his form in serving in Krishna Lila? Sri Rupa Manjari. Gadadhar Pandit's in male form, what is his form in Krishna Lila? Srimati Radhika. Swarup Damodar Goswami is in a male form, what is his form in Krishna Lila? Lalita Saki. Raya Ramananda is in male form, what is his form in Krishna Lila? Vishaka Saki. All of those old sages in Dandakaranya with long matted hair and long nails, doing intense austerities, had male forms. But what is their internal intrinsic form, the nature of their soul's relationship in love and affection with Krishna? Gopis. So Srila Prabhupada said, the mission of our Krishna consciousness movement is to become one of the Gopi Jan. It means that internally, the soul might have a different nature than the outside. So what is the nature of my soul? Is it an eternal associate and devotee of Sri Ram? Is it an eternal associate or devotee of Srimad Narayan and Vaikuntha? Is it an eternal associate and devotee of Krishna and Dwarka? Or in Vrindavan? Maybe as a tree? Or a cow? Or a flower? Or a servant, or a cowherd boy, or a parent-like figure, or a gopi, or a manjari? What is the nature of my soul? I don't know. I cannot see that truth. But because Sri Guru is Tattvadarshi, he knows everything. He can detect that truth within me and then give me guidance accordingly. Therefore, Krishna says, Pratamam tu gurum pujam. First of all, you must serve and worship Gurudev. Then you will be able to understand this process. The 64 limbs of Bhakti says, first of all, Ado, Guru Pad Ashray. Guru Pad Ashray. Take shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Guru. Serve him. Render render service with love and devotion and faith to Gurudev. And the first of the 9 symptoms of Bhakti mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, by Prahlad Maharaj, he told to Hiranyakashipu, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaran. Shravanam, from who? Virkriditam Brajugudu Viridam Cha Vishnum Shradhanvito Nishiniyat Atavarnayadya Bhaktim Param Bhagavatim Pratilabdikama Hridrogam Ashvapahinotya Chirena Dhira. Hearing from that person, whom by hearing, the disease of lust in the heart will be eradicated. Who can eradicate our lust? That person who is free from lust. Who can awaken the purity of love in our heart for Krishna? He whose heart is completely pure in love for Krishna. I'll give you an example. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again. So one time we were on a morning walk with Gurudev, and they told Gurudev, oh, Gurudev, there's one devotee, he said that he has had darshan of the navel, the belly button of Srimati Radhika. And Gurudev stopped and said, what? And they said they had darshan of her navel, her belly button. Gurudev busted up laughing so hard. He was laughing and laughing, and he was bouncing, and his stomach was bouncing. And then he just stopped cold and he said, bogus. And he said, if even once having seen, one will never have attraction to anything of this material world ever again. And then he gave the example of Narada Muni, which I told about yesterday. How just by once having the remnants of the Mahabhagavats, the four Kumaras, and by hearing their Harikatha, when he finally saw the Lord within 6 months of crying and searching for him, and then the Lord disappeared immediately. He only had a spurti, one moment. He had one vision and then he heard the voice from the sky. The Lord telling him, in this life you will not see me again. There was nothing which ever distracted him ever again. He had achieved the highest taste. He had darshan of the Supreme Lord. So what is there of the material world to attract him or distract him? Nothing. This is proof of higher taste. Gurudev said, Ruchi is not two things. Ruchi or taste is one thing. In other words, he said, you cannot put two swords in one sword case. You can only put one sword in the sword sheath. It's only meant to fit one. In the same way, ruchi, or real taste, is not for both simultaneous. A lot of people talk about having a comfortable balance between Krishna and Maya. If we're honest about it, that is called being in Maya. Let me maintain my comfortable balance. That is actually called being in Maya. Because it means I'm not really doing what is within the nature or the purpose of my soul, which is to exclusively love and serve and devote myself, my life and everything into the service of Krishna. So it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do anything for Krishna, but gradually, in the association of Vaishnavas, gradually, while performing all of the activities of bhakti and taking shelter of Harinam, gradually the positive Krishna will begin to manifest, and the desire to serve Krishna, Krishna Seva Vasanam, will begin to awaken more and more and more. The taste, the hunger, the greed for Krishna Bhakti Ras, which means the greed to serve Krishna, will be awakening more and more by their association, so much so that the other thing will be completely eradicated. When it is completely eradicated, at that point, someone is known as Guru, for whom the material world holds no charm whatsoever. But really, Guru is said to be that person who is descending from the spiritual world, who has no attraction to the material world. There's only one way for that to possibly happen, and that means that they actually have a higher taste in something divine, transcendental. Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaja said to Achyutananda Prabhu, disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he said, if you vibrate mundane sound, you will attain material results. And if you vibrate Vaikuntha sounds, then you will attain transcendental results, Vaikuntha results. So sound vibration is extremely important. That's why we associate with the Vaishnavas. They check us from vibrating mundane sound, and they encourage us to vibrate spiritual sound for our own benefit and for the benefit of all others. So now we will read. Narad Rishi observed that this Gopkumar is certainly a Vishramba Sevak. Vishramba Sevak means his intrinsic nature is to serve the Lord with great intimacy, with a very deep personal relationship, devoid of any fear. There's some Brahma and Vishramba. Some Brahma has some fear due to awe and reverence and opulence. Knowledge of the opulence and majesty of the Lord creates a little bit of fear. Maybe I'll do something wrong. The Sakhas of Krishna don't think maybe I'll do something wrong. They wrestle with him and they throw him in the dust and jump on top of him. They don't think, oh my God, I've made an aparad. They're having fun. And Krishna loves it. Even then, he might pout from time to time. Gurudev tells of the wrestling match that Krishna was having with Sridam, I believe. And Sridam flipped him and threw him in the dust and jumped on top of him and said, I have won. And Krishna said, no, you haven't. And Sridham said, of course I have. I'm on top, you're down on the ground, I'm sitting on top of you, of course I've won. And Krishna said, no, you haven't, I won. And he said, exactly how did you win? Krishna said, because your nose is pointing down and my nose is pointing up, so I won. Sridham said, that's not fair. It's not fair. And he's looking at all the cowherd boys and they're like, They said, oh, look at that Baba over there. He saw everything. Durvasa was sitting there. Long hair, long beard, in complete shock. In the awe and majesty of the knowledge of God, having just witnessed him be Purna Brahma Sanatana, the supreme absolute truth, slammed in the dust by his friend, and then trying to wiggle his way out of it by saying that I won because my nose is pointed upward. Aho bhagyam nandagopa prajokasam yan mitram paramanandam purnam brahma sanatana. Completely shocked. Oh my God, how is it possible? These Brajavasis, Nanda Baba, they're the most fortunate persons in the world. That the supreme Purna Brahma Sanatana, the supreme absolute truth himself, is playing like a small child in his courtyard. My God. So they went to him. One sat on one leg, the other one sat on the other. Krishna and Sridham, hey Baba, you saw everything. Who won the wrestling match? And he was completely shocked. He didn't know. He couldn't say anything. He was completely, his mouth was just open to witness this pastime of Purnam Brahma Sanatana, the absolute truth, playing like an ordinary child. And they were like, what's wrong with you? You saw everything. Tell. Are you deaf? Are you dumb? Can you not speak? They began pulling on his beard, say something. And then at that moment, Durvasa saw inside Krishna's mouth. Just like Mother Yashoda saw in his mouth. What did she see? All of the Brahmanda, millions of universes. And she became like, oh, what's going on? And then she saw our universe. Then she saw our earth planet. Then she saw Vrindavan. Then she saw herself looking in his mouth. And she was thinking, what is this? What is this I'm seeing? It must be that some ghost, some bhoot has come to attack my baby boy. And she began bathing him in all sorts of pancha amrit, cow urine and cow dung and cow's milk and yogurt and everything else auspicious, and putting black kajal on him and making sure that no negative influence could come to her sweet son. Durvasa looked inside Krishna's mouth, and then he saw that he entered inside and was wandering for millions of years within Krishna. And then after that he came back out. And he sees Krishna and Sridham sitting there, but he's completely confused. And then they were pulling on his beard, and he still wasn't answering. And they said, this Baba is useless. Let's go and play. But Durvasa was just completely awestruck by the majesty of Godhead. Whereas those who have intimacy, those cowherd boys didn't think about that. They were just like, Krishna's trying to cheat. And they also tried to cheat him. They say, close your eyes and open your mouth. My mother sent something really amazing to eat today. So Krishna closes his eyes and opens his mouth. And they put a dandelion flower in his mouth. Or they'll give him a chili pakora, anything. And everyone's laughing. The cowherd boys tease Krishna. Just like ordinary children. This is called Naravat Lila. So much intimacy that they are not aware of his Bhagavata, his Godhead. All they know is that they love him and he loves them. Srila Prabhupada says, this is the nature of the Brajavasis, love and affection for Krishna. Once upon a time, at Brahmanda Ghat, the boys began teasing Krishna. You're so dark, but your parents are so fair. You can't really be their son. It must be that your mother couldn't take care of you, your real mother. She felt bad for you, but she couldn't take care of you, so she hid you in the hollow of a tree. And Nanda Baba found you there, felt really sorry for you, and brought you home. And they decided to adopt you and take care of you. But you can't really be the son of Yashoda and Nanda. And all the boys were laughing, ha 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 ha, teasing him like that. And he was just laughing with them also. First, he didn't know what they said. They were just kind of pointing and laughing, and he was laughing with them. And then he heard what they were saying. And still he was kind of like, and And then he looked at his brother, Daoji, brother, is it true? And Daoji said, like that, yeah. Oh, that made him so upset. He ran home to his mother, he was so upset. He actually didn't run to her, he ran to pack his bags. And she's like, what are you doing? And he said, I'm going to find my real parents. The boys told me the truth today. She said, what are you talking about? He said, I know you're not my real mother. They told me everything. Nanda Baba found me in the hole of a tree. He felt sorry for me and brought me home and you adopted me, but I'm going to search for my real mother. She's like, that's ridiculous. Of course I'm your real mother. I swear to Narayan. In Garga Samhita, she's swearing to Narayan, I am your real mother. You came from my womb. We did the umbilical cutting ceremony. I swear. And he's like, no, I don't know if I believe you. And she said, I'll prove it to you. And he said, how? She said, because we are elderly. Nanda Baba and I, we could not have any children. So we were praying to Shalagram. Narasingha Shalagram. They worship Narasingha. We were praying to him desperately for a child. And because he gave his mercy and his complexion is black, so you are also Shalagram Prasad, you also became black like Shalagram. He was like, interesting. Any other proof? She said, come with me. He said, okay. So she brought him to the Goshala. There she showed him, look, you see that calf? What color is the calf? He said, black. He said, you see the parents? Mother and father, what color are they? He said, white. She said, so you see, sometimes in nature it happens like this. I swear you are my son. Then Krishna accepted and he didn't leave. This is the nature of the Brajabasis' love and affection for Krishna, that they are completely oblivious to his godhood. The madhurya, or the sweetness of Vrindavan, completely inundates all of Braj. And that Aishwarya, although it is more than all of the Vaikuntha planets combined in any single particle of dust of Vrindavan, still, the sweetness of Braj is so great that all of that opulence is like one single piece of straw floating in 40 gallons of boiling milk. Sometimes it peeks its head up, and then it goes back under again. Brajabasis see it, like, oh, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. Well, let us help him. They see it, but then immediately they forget it. You can turn up the fan a little bit. Is there any more light than this? Okay.
It looks.
It's okay? Okay. Right, it accommodates for the lighting. Thank you.
I don't know for you.
It's okay. So, Narad Rishi is observing that this Gop Kumar is certainly a Vishrambha Sevak. As I mentioned before, Vishrambha means serving with intimacy, no awe and reverence, no fear. And therefore Vaikuntha is not tasteful to him. Because the mood of Vaikuntha is awe and reverence, majesty. But this is not his intrinsic nature. Therefore, Narada will now start explaining higher tattva to him. This is the function of Guru. Guru diagnoses, recognizes, and then points us in the direction of our intrinsic sadhya, our goal. That means he's giving us the sadhana to attain our particular goal. Look, here in Vaikuntha, everything is chinmoy, means completely transcendental. And here, Bhagavan has thousands of forms. What is the meaning? There are many forms of Varaha, many forms of Mina, that is Matsya, the fish incarnation, many forms of Kurma, Nrsimha, Vaman, Parshuram, and all other incarnations. It is generally understood that there are 24 types of Leela avatars. But there are not merely 24. We mentioned 24. There's not only Dash avatar, 10 avatars. There are unlimited manifestations of the Lord mentioned in Shastra. It is said like crests or waves in the ocean. Unlimited. And more. We cannot count. There are so many that they cannot possibly be counted. But one incarnation is not different in quality from another incarnation. That is, in terms of quality, that verse in Brahma Samhita says, Diparchireva hirasantaram abhyupetya dipayate. Just like the light of one candle is not different than the light of another candle. Fire is fire. So in tattva, they are the same. But in terms of the expression of their rasa, or the relationship and the activities that they undertake, there is some bhed, some difference. So when any discrepancy comes, usually when there are discrepancies in understanding subjects on the path of bhakti, it must be viewed from two different perspectives, otherwise it's very easy to get lost. One is tattva vichar, the perspective of the foundational truth, and the other one is rasa vichar, or the perspective of rasa, the nature of the pastime. In tattva, Krishna and Ram are the same, but in rasa they are very different. Radhika will never do Rasa Leela with Ram. And Ram won't do Rasa Leela with Radhika because it is Rasabas. There's two different rasas. Krishna may do Rasa Leela with Sita. That's a speciality of Krishna. He does Rasa Leela with everyone. Krishna is like that. That is his nature. That is why he is called Krishna. All attractive. This is his speciality. But Sita may not, although she may. Lakshmi Devi is doing austerity in Belvan to enter into the Rasamila of Krishna. Taking shelter of Srimati Radhika in Shrivan. It's another name, the original name of Belvan. Belvan means the forest of bale fruits. But Shrivan, this is Srimati Radhika's forest, means it is the forest of Srimati Radhika. And Lakshmi Devi is doing austerities there to gain the mercy of the original Lakshmi, Sarva Lakshmi Mai, Srimati Radhika, so that she can enter into Krishna's pastimes. And this is proven in the section in Srimad Bhagavatam where the Naga Patnis, the wives of Kaliya, are glorifying Krishna and saying Kasyanubhavo. They're talking about how Lakshmi Devi is present in Belvan doing austerities to enter that pastime. And they basically said, even she cannot get this benefit that our husband has received. How is it possible that he has received the benefit of your footprints on his heads? How is it possible that he received that when even Lakshmi Devi cannot get that? So Mahaprabhu utilized this particular katha and this section to convince the family of Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, that means Gyankat Bhatta, Trimala Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Prabodhananda Saraswati, of the superiority of the moods of Braja. That even because they were Sri Vaisnavas, living in Sri Rangam, managing the temple there. When I was young, I went with my father to Sri Rangam and we actually stayed in that same house where Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami and they lived in that same place. For some days, one of our family members became very sick and the pujaris there and my father had a good relationship. So we stayed there for quite some time and they looked after our family member. So they actually heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conceptions and they accepted from that one shlok and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu telling that, they accepted the superiority, if you want to call it, of the moods of the Brajabasi's love and affection for Krishna. And our Gurudev indicated that that is because that was the intrinsic nature of their Atma. Others, Mahaprabhu told the same thing too, but they could not be convinced, like Murari Gupta and Anupam, the younger brother of Rup and Sanatan, because their eternal relationship with the Lord is as servants in Dasya Rasa of Sri Ram. So even though Mahaprabhu told them the same thing, all of the proofs from Shastra, still their hearts could not give up. It's not that they needed to give up, but their hearts couldn't let go of Ram because he is their eternal Ishtadev. Whereas the family of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, they were able to accept it. It means that their eternal Ishtadev was Krishna, Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. And we see how it manifested. Actually realized means became real. When Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami was desiring to serve his Thakurji, having received some beautiful ornaments and cloth and jewelry. He wanted to worship his Thakurji, like Rupa Goswami was worshipping Govindaji, like Sanatan Goswami was worshipping Madan Mohanji. And from that desire to serve the form of Krishna, very beautiful thing happened. He woke up in the morning and his own shalagram had manifested into Shri Radharaman. Shri Radharaman Ju Ki Jai. So, we also know that Prabodhananda Saraswati, he has written Radha Rasa Shuddhanidhi. He has composed Vrindavan Mahimamrita. So many beautiful teachings. And he is in Krishna Lila Tunga Vidya Sakhi. But still, he's expressing the desire to serve like a maidservant, Srimati Radhika. So here, everything in Vaikuntha is transcendental, Chinmoy, and Bhagavan has thousands of forms. There are unlimited forms of the Lord. They cannot be counted. We should understand that. When Mahaprabhu is speaking to Sanatan Goswami, he's talking about all the different shapes and forms of the Lord. There are unlimited Vaikuntha planets and unlimited forms of the Lord in all of those Vaikuntha planets. We cannot limit the Lord to how many forms he can have. Since time without beginning, he has unlimited transcendental spiritual forms, and he has relationships with his devotees based on their relationship with that specific form. One incarnation is not different than another in quality from another. They are residing in different chambers of Vaikuntha, and all of them are eternal. Yes, Bhagavan is one, but he appears according to the gradation of the bhakti of his devotees. The same one Bhagavan will be seen differently according to the nature of one's bhakti. So this is quite interesting. The same one Bhagavan, there's a term for that. It is known as Advai Gyan Paratattva. The supreme, Advai means non-dual, Gyan, knowledge of the non-dual Paratattva, supreme truth or absolute truth. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells to Sanatan Goswami, Krishner Swarup Vichar, Shuno Sanatan. Oh Sanatan, listen. The truth about Krishna's nature, Krishner Swarup, or the truth of the nature of God. Advai Gyan Tattva, the supreme non-dual absolute truth is none other than Braje Brajendranandan, Vrindavan's Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. This is the supreme absolute truth. Therefore, Sri Jayadev Goswami has written in Sri Dashavatara Stotram, Pralaya Payodhi Jale Dhrittavanasi Vedam Ihitavihi Tracharitramakedam Keshavadrittam Meena Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadritta Kurma Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadritta Varaha Rupa Keshavadritta Narahari Rupa Keshavadritta Vamana Rupa Keshavadritta Rama Sharira Keshavadritta, Keshava, Krishna himself is manifesting in these forms. Ramadi Murti Shukalan Yamena Tishthan Nana Avataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. This verse is in Sri Brahma Samhita. There it says Ram, Adi, Murti, and all other forms. Kala. They are like a phase, a manifestation of the original form, Krishna Swayam, the original form. And Bhagavatam also confirms this point. After mentioning so many different functions or forms of the Lord, then it says, Ete Chanksa Kalapungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All of these, Ete, Chanksa, these manifestations, Kala. Again, this word Kala means a phase or manifestation, showing one particular aspect, or more than one particular aspect, but showing some angle of vision. Like Ram is the personification of Maryada, therefore he is known as Maryada Purushottam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Prem Purushottam. Krishna is known as Lila Purushottam, the supreme personality of tasting all Leela, Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prem Purushottam, the Supreme Personality of experiencing, tasting what it is like to love Krishna from the perspective of the devotee. This is Prem Purushottam. Ram is Maryada Purushottam, Supreme Personality of tasting and also sharing proper dharma etiquettes in this world. So all of them have their specialities, and yet they are the one same Supreme Lord, but manifested according to the nature of the devotee. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yata mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. As one approaches me, I reciprocate accordingly. So as a devotee is approaching Krishna, according to their intrinsic nature, he will reciprocate with that. So if the devotee is approaching Krishna as Hanuman, then how will Krishna reciprocate to him? As Sri Ram, because that is the nature of Hanuman's love for the Lord. So that same Krishna is manifesting to him as Sri Ram. That's why Gurudev told us in that very sweet meeting, for those two devotees, who he said, you are Ram Bhaktas. So when you chant Mahamantra, you should think of Ram. You should meditate on the qualities and pastimes of Ram. He installed Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman for them. He named the lady Janaki. Janaki is a name for Sita, the daughter of Janak Maharaj. He told them, you are Ram Bhaktas. Your sadhana should be for the attainment of that goal. So, excuse me. So he told them, when you see any picture or form of Krishna, you should never address him as Krishna, because he's so tricky. He's so sweet, he's so beautiful and soft, he will try to steal your heart. He said, so you should never address him as Krishna. You should only address him as Ram. Hey Ram, you have appeared in such a beautiful... Jai Ram, Jai Ram. And then he looked at me and Sudevi, and he said, you also should be very careful. Ram is so beautiful, so charming, so sweet, so attractive, so heroic. Immediately your heart will want to run to him, he said. So you should also be very careful. You should never, if you ever see a picture or murti of Ram, you should never address him as Ram. You should say, hey Krishna, you have appeared in such a beautiful form as Ram. Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna. This is how one should move in the path of one-pointed Bhakti. This is called Ananya Bhakti, exclusive to one's Ishtadev. Then one will be able to attain the destination, otherwise not. And Raghunath Das Goswami showed that very clearly in Sri Manashiksha, where he's pushing mukti out of the way, liberation, and even saying this attachment, to develop attachment to Lakshmi and Narayan in Vaikuntha is not favorable for the mood that I'm hoping to develop. This also Dvarka Dhyan, which is mentioned in the 64 limbs of Bhakti by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is not favorable for the attainment of Braja Bhakti. We know of the history of that person who came from Radha Kund to Dwarka, was branded, tried to come back, but would not be accepted, although he had been doing bhajan here. By the intensity of his separation, he was able to give up his body, and then he came again to be able to continue that bhajan. How Raghunath Das Goswami is so exclusive that even though someone came from Sakhi Sthali, that is the place of Chandravali, who loves Krishna more than, after Srimati Radhika, who loves Krishna the most? Chandravali. How exclusive is Raghunath Das Goswami? Because Chandravali is in the Vipaksha, the opposite group of Srimati Radhika, and he has Nishta, Sri Radha Nishta, Nishta and Srimati Radhika. When he saw that the shape of that bowl and where it came from and who was bringing it, he grabbed a stick and chased that person away. How exclusive, how one-pointed was he in his focus. We shouldn't be like that at this stage of our bhakti. We will make severe aparad. We should not be disrespectful to Chandravali. We don't have that right at our stage. But when we come to that stage, absolutely, we'll have to be like that. We should not be disrespectful to Srimad Narayan. We should not be disrespectful to Ram. This is very bad. Or anyone, any deva, any person, any creature, any bug, any ant. We should be very careful. But still, we can see, according to the depth of one's mamata, their relationship, their possessive mood toward their particular Ishtadev, they will manifest their bhav, their mood, accordingly. So here, Gurudev is saying it's the same Krishna. It's the same Supreme Lord, and He's manifested in so many different forms, but He will manifest according to the nature of the devotee's love for Him. Mother Yashoda, how does she see Krishna? Always as my Lala, darling baby boy, because she has Vatsalya praying for him, motherly affection. Her motherly affection is such that Krishna cannot help himself. He is controlled by that love and becomes like a little baby or a little boy. And she always sees him like that. How do the cowherd boys see him? As my dearest friend. How do the gopis see him? Sakshat Manmat Manmat. Cupid personified. The Supreme Personality, Madan Mohan. Kandar Pakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Millions of cupids faint just upon trying to imagine the beauty of the dust of his lotus feet. How beautiful is Krishna. They see him like that. We've heard in Srimad Bhagavatam how when Krishna entered into the wrestling arena of King Kamsa, how everyone there saw him according to the nature of their bhav toward him. All of the men, all of the parental figures saw him like their son. All of the cowherd boys, and you can say all of the young males, saw him like my best friend. All of the young girls saw him as Cupid personified. It means they immediately had a crush on him. And all of the demons saw him as death personified. Everyone saw him according to the nature of their relationship to him. So he manifests accordingly. He appears according to the gradation of the bhakti of his devotees. The same one Bhagavan will be seen differently according to the nature of one's bhakti. Sorry. Okay. 5 minutes. On the banks of the Jamuna at Kaliyahrad in Vrindavan, a sage named Shobari Rishi was performing austerities for 10,000 years. I believe I told this story yesterday. But because Garuda was coming there and eating fish, Shobari Rishi became angry and cursed him. So he made Vaishnava aparad. Due to this offense, material desire arose within him. Due to the offense of cursing the pure Vaishnava, the pure devotee of the Lord, material desire arose within him, even though he was doing intense austerities in Vrindavan, underneath, in Jamuna. Next, by his mystic power, he assumed 50 forms, married the 50 daughters of Mandhata Muni, and created 50 palaces and 50 daughters. 50 palaces with 50 gardens. He arranged them in such a way that they would put Indrapuri to shame. That means the kingdom of Indra. He arranged these palaces in such a way that he would put the kingdom of Indra to shame with their extensive facility for enjoyment. And he lived like that for the next 10,000 years. There's a question?
Yeah, how should we see Krishna at our stage?
This needs to be guided by Sri Guru. That's why it must always be that we are under guidance of Guru and Vaishnavas. At this stage, of course, our Gurudev has instructed that we should try to meditate on the sweet pastimes of Krishna. But also Srimad Bhagavatam is there. We should not discount Srimad Bhagavatam. There is nothing to be thrown out. And the first 9 cantos are there to establish the supreme the supreme majesty of Godhead. To establish the supreme majesty of Godhead. To understand His awesomeness. And from that point, when we understand who He is, instead of materializing Him, then gradually, by the association of those who are deeply attached to the Lord, we will begin to develop attraction to serve the Lord in a particular mood. What is according to the nature of our heart. And then, this greed for Braj, for entering into a relationship with Krishna in Vrindavan will manifest in our heart, will awaken in our heart. So how should we see Krishna? We can see him in so many ways, but what does our Gurudev diagnose, and how does he direct us? This is the important thing, because I cannot see that. What is the nature of my relationship with Krishna? When they asked us when we were young, all the boys said, I want to be coward boys, I want to be Hanuman, I want to be Bhima. All the girls were like, I want to be gopis. The problem is everyone was saying, I want. What is it really? And what is pleasing for Krishna? What is the nature of my soul? It was all based on what my body is currently. So how do we know? Only by the grace of Gurudev. Only by the grace of Sadhu Guru can we ascertain what our particular goal is, our particular sadhya, our particular relationship with Krishna is. And then everything that they give us, all of the practices they give us, will become favorable for attaining that particular goal. So it is essential to be always in the guidance of pure Vaishnavas. They will be able to guide us appropriately. As you see with Gop Kumar, he's moving in different ways, and his gurus are directing him how to develop that goal. Our Gurudev was quite specific, but who knows how many lifetimes we've been searching, how many ways we've been going for so many lifetimes in different directions, and finally you come to the lotus feet of any particular guru who will try to give you. This is actually your one-pointed goal. Don't become distracted. Everything you do should be for that goal. And then we should see Krishna according to that particular mood. And then every other form of Krishna as the manifestation of our particular Ishtadev Krishna. I hope that was satisfactory. Where was I? Oh. So, Shobhari Rishi, he had 50 wives, the daughters of Mandata Muni, 50 palaces with gardens, and he had so many children from them, and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and his palaces were more wealthy than that of King Indra in the heavenly planets. He enjoyed for such a long time. His grandchildren and great-grandchildren had all grown up, and one day Mandata Muni came there and said, I have lived without my daughters for so long that now they don't even remember me. So their father came. And he was saying, now they don't even remember me. And they have no desire whatsoever to come to their father's house. What has happened? Then he looked around and thought, there is such opulence here. This is why my daughters have no desire to ever return to visit my home. These 50 forms that Shobhari Rishi assumed were Kaya Vyuha forms. Means he actually expanded himself into 50 forms, which all were like duplicates of himself. Interestingly, when he would lift his hand, all of the forms lifted their hands. So it's almost like mirrored reflection, all at the same time. You can manifest yourself in 50 forms, and they all, one does this, the rest do it at the same time, like marionette.
They can't complete different activities.
No, they're not able to complete different activities separate from each other. It's still a very powerful yogic power, but it's a little bit annoying, I think.
Yeah.
In Kaya Vyuha expansions, if the original speaks, then all will speak. If he sleeps, then all will sleep. If he moves, then all will move. One form is real, and the rest are copies, duplicates. So the original form is there, and all the rest are duplicates, copies.
Another question.
One second. But Bhagavan's incarnations are not like this. All of his forms are independent. So he can manifest himself unlimitedly, and when this one is talking, this one can be sleeping, and that one can be eating, and this one can be fighting, and that one can be doing Rasa Lila, And this one can be fighting with demons. They're all independent and complete in themselves. Om Purnam Madap Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The Supreme Lord is complete, and even if He manifests Himself unlimitedly, still every one of those manifestations is also complete in themselves. Purnam, complete. So I'm going to end here with the question that's there.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's already, what time?
7:30.
Yeah, 7:30.
We do not have straight Guru. How can we have hope that he will come when we feel so undeserving?
Interestingly enough, the feeling of being so undeserving is one of the requirements for Sri Guru to manifest in one's life. It's the feeling of, I have no qualification whatsoever. That's what Bhaktivedanta says. Yogyata vichare kichu nahi pai. I have no qualification, I have no good intelligence. Tomara karuna sar. Your mercy is everything for me. Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya. Without your mercy, weeping and weeping. Prana na rakhibo ar. I will not be able to maintain my life. So this feeling of humility, of disqualification, but not stopping there, then that should create a mood of more desperation. I have nothing. I have no qualification. I am completely, utterly dependent on your mercy. Please manifest before me. That is actually a very good place to be. We should not just stop with thinking, I am not qualified. If we only stop there, then that can be a symptom of pride. One time someone told Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I am the most fallen. And Srila Prabhupada instantly replied, you are not the most anything. He perspectivized it for him. The most fallen. So if we think that our weakness, if our insignificance is greater than the capacity of Krishna in the condensed form of His mercy to help us, then we should understand that that is pride. It is a form of ego, maybe from the other side of the coin of pride, but it's still the same thing. If the prayer is there, that I have nothing, I have no good intelligence, I have no qualification whatsoever, I have no good qualities, I'm completely undeserving, but still, like Bhaktivedanta Thakur, there's a beautiful bhajan he sings, Shri Radha Krishna Pada Kamalemana Kemana Lobibe Charama Sharana. He said, I am so full of lusty desires. So what is the cure for that? Hearing Rasa Lila Katha. So he's first saying, this is my nature. I have so much lust in my heart. So please accept me into your Rasa Lila pastimes. He's not stopping with, I'm lusty. He's always following with the prayer to get rid of that thing. If we're only thinking, I'm lusty, I'm lusty, I'm lusty, I'm lusty, I'm lusty, we will be lusty. I have so much lust. Please give me the cure for that. I have this problem. Now I need to address this problem because that is not the nature of my soul. Please help me. So if we approach from that perspective and we really sincerely call out, if we don't have Guru physically in our life, we should understand that Guru is already in our heart as Chaitya Guru, Guru of the heart. According to Shastra, He is always speaking to us as Paramatma from inside. And yet, according to Shastra, because we are conditioned souls, we cannot ascertain or see or even understand if it is Paramatma speaking to us or if it is our mind, our intelligence, or our ego. Srila Prabhupada explains in the one purport in Srimad Bhagavatam that only a liberated soul can actually communicate with Paramatma directly. Therefore, according to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, if anyone is sincere and crying out, please give me your mercy, please give me your shelter, I need help. On my own, I have no strength. I don't know which way to go. I've been lost forever. And the proof of that is that I'm still here and I'm still conditioned. After time without beginning, that's not 1 million years. It's not 1 billion. It's not trillions. It's since forever. I have been bound in this material world, and by my own power I have been unable to find myself. I require help from something greater than myself, apparently. I'm trying to remember. Maya mugda jivana hi svata Krishna gyan. The jiva is unable to free himself from the clutches of Maya by his own power. Therefore, Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, has manifested Shastra. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtam patasmatit jnanam apohanam cha vedaishta sarvaya aham eva vedya vedanta krit veda videva chaham. That one can know me by the scriptures. And the Charitamrita. Krishna and the scriptures are non-different. And Krishna himself says, I am also not different from that. And one can actually only know me by pure love and affection. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, if you don't have pure love and affection, then how can you understand scripture? Jaha Bhagavata para Vaishnavirasthane. If you want to understand Bhagavan, if you want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, which is non-different than the heart of Krishna, is pure devotee. Anyone who says they are directly his devotee, Krishna says they're not really my devotee. But anyone who is the devotee of my devotee, they are my real devotee. So in our process, in our path, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Gopi Bhaktu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasaha. My only identity is that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the beloved of the gopis, Krishna. So if we cry out from the core of our heart, Krishna, please be merciful to me. I need help. Look at my situation. Please hear my prayer. If someone is surrendering to Krishna like that, crying out, Sadanga Sharanagati Hoye Jahar Tahara Pratana Shuni Shri Nanda Kumar, Krishna will hear that prayer and his mercy will manifest. How? Samsara Davana Lalitha Loka Taranaya Karunya Ghanaganatvam Praptasya Kalyan Gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. That mercy, which is like a vast, unlimited ocean. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu. Ocean of mercy will condense. Just like a cloud forms over the ocean. And we are in a blazing forest fire in this material world. Samsara. Atevat mayatare deya samsara duk. Forgetting Krishna, being neglectful of Krishna, being ignorant of Krishna, we are trying to enjoy in this material world. Being captured by Maya, we are experiencing the suffering of material existence, samsara, which is like a blazing forest fire. Samsara davanala, the blazing forest fire. So when we begin crying out for help, for shelter, for mercy, and Krishna hears that prayer, then that prayer manifests like this cloud, which is manifesting from the ocean, which can go over that land and pour the rain of mercy over that blazing forest fire. That is Sri Guru. Gurudev said that in this world, if there was no presence of any pure devotee, it would cease to exist in a moment, because that is the purpose for this place. For Krishna to give mercy, and for us jivas to receive that mercy. So if we have not yet met Guru, if we have not yet received the shelter of Sri Guru, it is not hopeless. We should always be hopeful that Gurudev, if I'm sincere in crying to Krishna, Krishna's mercy will manifest in my life. And I should only pray to be able to recognize him when he manifests. Srila Gurudeva ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you for your questions. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, रूपानंद गुरुवर्ग की जय, पति पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय, प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि की जय, राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जय, राधा रमन जू की जय, गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। गोविंद दामोदर माधव गोविंद दामोदर माधव गोविंद दामोदर माधव गोविंद दामोदर माधव बोल राधे राधे very much for being with us today and giving us the opportunity to remember our Gurudev and his instructions and teachings and the teachings of our Guru Varga. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
Radhe
Pranam.
Radhe.